my fellow humans, and welcome back to Scatter Love Tarot, with your girl coming at you with another pick a card reading. I do want to say thank you to anyone and everyone that continues to be a supportive part of this journey with me. I'm truly honored to be sharing this time and this space with you. And anyone that is new here, welcome. This is a reminder, this is telling you that we are all here sharing this human experience together, and that this is a safe space to show up as your highest, most aligned, loving, authentic self. I'm gonna get there, guys. We're still in the shadow of Mercury retrograde, so hang with me. It's all a part of the process, and yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to be without the shadow. I'm ready for Mercury to be just and direct. It's time. We do things completely differently here on this channel, so with that in mind, if the messages happen to resonate moving forward, it would mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. It is a free and easy way to support the channel. And if you're interested in supporting me further, check out the description box. It will have everything you need, including how to reach me for a personal reading, as well as how to join as a member here on the channel. So with that being said, let's hop to your prayer. And then we'll get your reading underway, okay? All right, so let's see. All right, my beloved sources, prayers for any and all who come onto this reading, whether it's for a moment's time or for the entire time. Today I ask that you help guide us on our journeys. We're feeling it. We're feeling the astrological effects. We're feeling the effects from the journey itself. We're feeling the effects of having to deal with stressful situations, stressful people, or things that aren't going our way, or things that are seemingly taking forever and ever and ever. And holy crap, it's getting heavy. And I just ask that you help remind us that no matter where we are exactly where we need to be. And that this moment is truly all that we have. So if we shift our focus and reframe our thoughts to coming into this present moment, we can open ourselves up to the infinite possibilities that are, and open ourselves up to the depth of your love and your guidance. And also the healing. We need the healing at this time, because we're turning the corner and we're about to end this year, and things seemingly were very difficult across the board for many of the collective this year. And so that reminder that nothing is wrong with us. We didn't do anything awfully, terribly, or wrong, or chose a wrong path, but that simply this is a part of the process, that things do unfold at a very slow pace at times, and that's okay. But we still need that reminder, and we still need that guidance and that help and that assurance, because oftentimes we've put a time limit on ourselves and on the journey in and of itself, and when things aren't happening at that timeline, we believe that we're the ones that are inadequate. This is the illusion. So I ask that you fill our hearts with trust, with love, and with assurance that where we are is enough, and that in this moment we are enough exactly as we are. As these words are spoken upon this collective and onto this reading, so shall they be. Amen. Aho, ase. Thank you, thank you, thank you, my beloved source. Thank you. Got some ashes going on over here. Alright. My selenite. There we go. Okay, so today's reading is a golden key from the universe. This is a piece of information you need right now. And I felt like this was fitting for right now, because I'm definitely seeing a sluggish energy upon the collective. I've been feeling it myself. Just feels like we need to know that where we're at is okay, and also what it is that we need to move forward. Even if it's simple, even if it's complex, it doesn't matter at this point. This is just getting that key piece of information that you need right now. So we're going to be using the Wild Unknown Archetypes by Kim Kranz. This felt like a fitting deck to pull out for this and get this guidance today. move that over here. I have to take off my thumb rings to shuffle this deck because my hands are not very big and this is a very awkward deck. So, Source, what is the golden key for my fellow humans today that they need right now? The key piece of information that they need right now. What is the golden key for my fellow humans today, Source, that they need right now? What is the key piece of information that my fellow humans need right now, Source? What is the key piece of information that my fellow humans need right now, Source? Oh my goodness, these cards. Okay, thank you. What is the key piece of information that my fellow humans need right now, Source? Try one more. What is the golden key for my fellow humans right now? The key piece of information they need right now. All right, so for pile number 1, Source, what is the golden key from you? The piece of information that pile number 1 needs right now. What oracle card will help us better understand this? Okay, thank you. Okay, and for pile 2, Source, what oracle card will help us better understand the golden key from you, the piece of information that pile number 2 needs right now? Cool. Thank you. Right, and for pile number 3, Source, what oracle card will help us better understand the golden key from you, the piece of information that pile number 3 needs right now? Okay, thank you. On the bottom of the deck, we have a gape. You know, it's interesting looking at this card. I'm feeling a sense of alignment here, you know, like just building the bridge and everything finally, you know, getting connected through the process, like key points on our journey that are lighting up. It's almost like you have to go through this and then you get this information, and once you go through that, then you get this information, and once you go through that, then you get this information. And so it's like finally finding this way to enlightenment. But it's more than just enlightenment. It's literally about using the wisdom that we're garnering from this journey to help us into parts of our lives that we didn't know were going to arise, or that we had forgotten about, right? So the cyclical nature of things. And you see how like this is a mirror of this, right? These 3 pieces here are mirroring exactly these 3 pieces here, right? You have this big bright light, the candle, and then this faraway light. You have this faraway light, the candle, and this big bright light. And there's this energy where it's like realizing that what we're going through in the present is equally what we went through in the past. You know, if we were to turn the card this way, right? What we're going through in the present is what we went through in the past. And that they have to meet up with one another, but sometimes we're healing from things that we went through right now. And that leads us to recognizing or understanding those key points from the past. It's like tying, like, the connection. What is it that's coming through? It's like the synapses going on in our minds, right? Where we're seeing something unfold right now before our eyes, and then suddenly our mind makes that connection to something that we experienced in our past, and then those 2 pieces together form a complete bridge for us to rebuild and heal ourselves in a deeper way than we thought was possible. We also have 72, the number here in Roman numerals. And this is 9 when we break it down in numerology. And so it's like bringing something to a close here, right? But this looks like a big bridge to me. And it's a bridge of light. It's like this is the process that we must go through in order for us to understand and understand ourselves much better. So let's see what this card says out of the book. Agape. 72, agape. And this is in the Look at this. This is in the initiations part of the book, which is so profound, right? So this is a part of the initiation. It's just something, it's the very first card. No, actually, I'm sorry. That's not true. It's the second card after arrows, right? In the initiation process. So we have devotion and unconditional love. It says, agape can also be felt as an overwhelming love of family, partner, community. Recognize it by the deep swell of gratitude. Okay. It says, the Greek word agape informs the English word agape. To have the mouth agape is to be awestruck by something or breathtaking delight. We are made humble once again, right? That makes so much sense as to what I was feeling. We're made humble once again. It's like we're thinking that this future present situation is completely different than something that we could have ever possibly experienced in the past. Or vice versa, right? Like something in the past is completely different than what we could have ever experienced in the future. But then the connection makes us realize, holy moly, I really have been living in the Fibonacci sequence, this unfurling of time, right? There is no real linear time. Time is not linear by any means, but we see it as linear as the illusion. It says, what if instead of putting yourself at the center of your spiritual practice, you put God, goddess, or nature at the center? How would this change your approach? Such is the energy of agape. It is alive when we are in awe and wonder, our breath taken away by the sacred force that surrounds us and asks for nothing in return. This card can indicate a spiritual initiation that stretches your capacity to love and to serve. You sense the earthly as the heavenly and vice versa. Such an initiatory moment can appear in any form, and like a healing balm to the modern soul, its effects last a lifetime. The agape card may also suggest you reassess what you worship every day, consciously or unconsciously. What are you elevating? Where does the sacred ladder you climb ultimately lead to? So when in light, it's a service, reverence, honor, and joy. When dark, spiritual bypassing or righteousness. To go deeper, children's choirs from around the world. So interesting that when in the shadow, it's spiritual bypassing. It's like literally trying to find a shortcut. And I see this happen a lot in the spiritual community, where people are trying to find a shortcut to an end goal rather than doing the work. But it's the work that gives us the wisdom, right? We're not going to make it to the end point. And even if you could find a workaround, right? If you could get from point A to point Z without having to go through the whole of the alphabet, what benefit would that give you? It wouldn't, because you would arrive at point Z with the knowledge of point A without the meat of the story to give you the essence of, let's just say, a language to build on, right? Because the alphabet is the essence of a language, any language. So if you start with the very first letter, but you're just bypassing to get to the very end, you haven't gained any wisdom or knowledge about what it is that you've gone through. But if you start at the beginning and you take one step at a time, is it going to take longer? Of course it is. But with each step you take, more wisdom is gathered, more knowledge is gathered. And that's what the key piece of information for the collective is right now, is that this mirroring effect that you're finding, it's realizing that without having gone through what you went through in your past, or even gone through what you've gone through right now in the present moment, without those things, you would not have realized these parts of yourself that would have needed necessary healing in order to move forward and to become a more enlightened being. Can I actually believe that pile 3 got 2 of these cards? Yeah, they did. Interesting. I just noticed it, so whatever. Okay. So for pile number 1, we do have this dice with Saturn on it for you to choose from. Okay. Or we have the sacral chakra gemstone for you to choose from. And I believe, I'm not 100% sure on this, that this is carnelian. I'm not 100% sure on that. For pile number 2, we have the 4th house and this dice for you to choose from. Or we have this red jasper with the root chakra. Excuse me. And pile number 3, we have this dice with the north node for you to choose from. Or we have this crown chakra, and I want to say it's amethyst. It's just different colored kind of amethyst. So it's just a crown chakra gemstone for you to choose from. Okay, so we have pile 1, pile 2, and pile 3, and whichever pile you feel drawn to, that should be the pile for you. And with that, I will see you over on your chosen pile. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this sacral chakra gemstone, or if you were drawn to this dice with Saturn on it, or if you were drawn to this card during the shuffle, this is going to be a reading on a golden key from the universe, the piece of information you need right now. I do want to say thank you to anyone and everyone that continues to be a supportive part of the journey here. Truly honored to be sharing this time and this space with you. And for those of you that are new here, welcome. This is a reminder that we're all here sharing this human experience together, and that this is a safe space to show up as your highest, most aligned, loving, authentic self. Should these messages happen to resonate, it would mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. Knowing we do things a bit differently here on this channel. But with that in mind, let's go ahead and hop to it and find out what is the golden key from the universe for you today for pile number 1, Source. What is the golden key that you have today for pile number 1? The piece of information they need right now. What is the piece of information that pile number 1 needs, Source? Okay, so we've got the 3rd house. All right. Libra energy and the moon. And first and foremost, I'm going to say this could be a triggering pile. I just want to say that right off the bat, okay? Because I already feel this energy coming in, but it does look like we're going to be talking about labeled relationships here. So if you feel like you're on a twin flame journey or a soulmate journey, then this is going to be your pile, okay? If you don't, then maybe one of the other piles will better resonate with you, okay? So before we get into it, I just want to point that out because that's the energy that's already coming in. Especially with the 3rd house and Libra and the moon. I mean, it would be really heightened if we had Venus energy here as well, but we have Venus with Libra and the moon coming in showing this is a very emotional situation here, right? And there's an imbalance coming through 2:22 on the clock. There's this imbalance that's coming in, and there's this fear of neglect, but also of abandonment that I'm feeling also. And it feels like there's this, like, honestly, I'm going to be real with you. I don't want to talk about it. That's what I'm feeling. I don't want to talk about it on this reading, and so I'm feeling like that's kind of the energy that you're in right now. Like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't even want to think about it. I don't even want to bring it up. And whether that's because of hurt, or because you're waiting, or because of the situation itself, or because the other party involved has been completely silent, there's just this feeling like I just don't want to talk about it. You know, I fell for all those ideas. I went down that rabbit hole. I experienced a ton of hurt, a ton of pain, a ton of withdrawal, a ton of obsession, a ton of codependency. And now, honestly, there's healing. Okay, there is healing that's coming through as well. But this is a very interesting feeling. It's very complex. And it's pretty overwhelming. It is, and I'm not laughing at you by any means. It's just sitting really heavily on my heart, between my heart and my throat chakra, and it's like I just kind of want to curl up in a ball and cry. And Source is noticing this, obviously. Source notices everything about what we're experiencing, what we're going through, and so I feel like this is just generally a difficult topic for you to get into. For those of you that stayed, it could be something that it's like, I'm really hopeful and no one can take away that hope from me. And it's not about taking away your hope. That's not what this is, right? It's always good. Hope, even when meager, is still huge. But this is also reminding you to stay logical about the situation in and of itself, right? And we're talking about if your person is married to someone else, that's a lot of pain to put yourself through, not knowing if this person is going to leave who they're with to come to you. And so you end up putting yourself through the ringer by sitting around and waiting for them to make a decision, but they've already made their decision, right? So we have to use logic at some point in time, even though this is an illogical connection, absolutely. But to protect ourselves and to heal ourselves, we also need to distance ourselves from situations where logic is going to help us really say, okay, I know I'm feeling this way, but this is what's happening in this reality right now, instead of being focused on the 3D in and of itself. And there's a lot of Libra energy gives you this gullible energy as well. It's like falling for what everyone says about everything when it comes to that. So if you watched a lot of love readings recently, and all those love readings are saying, yeah, they're going to come in, they're going to come in, they're going to come in. And I'm not saying that they're wrong, right? I'm not saying they're wrong. But if you have a tendency to click off of readings that say, no, they're not going to come in, no, they're not going to do this, right? Then that is where there's a problem, because it's saying I'm only wanting to hear what I'm wanting to hear. And I don't want to stick around for those things that I might need to hear along the way, right? So let's see really quickly here. Source, what more would you like to share here? What more would you like to share here? Okay, thank you. What more would you like to share here, Source? Okay. Thank you. What more would you like to share? Yeah. It's almost like if I believe in anything other than what I'm feeling or what I want to believe, then I'm saying that it's not a possibility. But that's not true, right? We're just saying, like, sometimes we have to draw away from these situations because it is hurtful, because we're allowing ourselves to fall into this it's just too deep. You're just getting involved in something that is creating a lot of dissonance within our souls, especially with the devil on the bottom here. This is saying, like, I can't move forward. I can't do what I need to do. I can't follow the journey that I want to follow. I have to focus on this relationship. I have to focus on what's moving or what's happening in front of me. Yeah, so with the Six of Swords here in the reverse, it's just saying, like, mentally, I just don't want to hear anything that's negative. But you have to discern what it is that you're looking at on your journey, right? It's just like taking in information. Sometimes, like when you're at school even, right? Whatever's on the final test at school isn't everything that you've learned throughout the year, but it's kind of that overview of it, and you have to discern what it is that you're going to take and put into the test. But with the devil in the reverse here on the bottom, it's showing that this is something that is overwhelming you. It's definitely overwhelming your mind. It's something that's almost being held over your mind. And the obsession of it, or the want or the desire of it, is so much greater than the potential knowledge that you're going to be learning from the journey in and of itself. right? And the devil is all things to do with the physical realm. So we're talking about the physical relationship itself, sex, drugs, alcohol, money, buying things, the material realm, material items, and these things that we think are who we are and they're not, right? And so it's disconnecting us from the spiritual aspect of the journey itself. So when I say this, if you feel like you're in a labeled relationship journey, it never is about the 3D connection, but so many people in the spiritual community are making it about the 3D connection when it's actually about something much deeper. Especially if you identify as a twin flame, the twin flame journey in and of itself is actually about you and your connection to the divine realm. It was never about you and this other person, because this other person is you. And so if you're focused on this other person, you're actually disconnecting from the focus on yourself and your own journey. And I know that can get frustrating, and it's interesting because when I was picking the gemstones for this, like, there was no real rhyme or reason. Usually I'm a pretty patterned person. Like, I like to have things in patterns, and usually I pick things based on a pattern, but today it was just kind of random how I picked the gemstones. And you picked the sacral chakra, and the sacral chakra has to do with sexual healing, our emotions, letting ourselves feel like this is my right to feel, this is my right to experience my emotions. And so it's interesting that this is the way the reading's going, and we're talking about the golden key, a key piece of information you need right now. Well, it's just allowing yourself to take in the potential that, what if it's not just about the 3D connection? And saying that, I already feel the resistance. I already feel like, nope, that's not me. It's not me. It's all about this connection. I'm going to do everything in my power to get this connection. But let me ask you this. Up until now, how many times have you felt like something you did was wrong because this connection hasn't manifested? Those are the things that you have to look at, because never did Source say, I'm going to create this connection that's going to make you feel completely unworthy all the time just because it's difficult to manifest. That was never the intention of the divine realm, right? The divine realm said, I'm going to create this connection so that you get triggered, work through those triggers, and begin to heal at a soul level, in a place where you would have never known how deep some of these internal wounds would have gone, so that you can be free from the monotony of the 3D realm, free from what everybody says is this is the way life is. Everybody's bought into the illusion. And it's interesting because there's this energy where, I don't know if you've studied other cultures or not, but this is an experience, or an example that Source is bringing forth. Wherever you're at, say cheating, right? Like, if someone were to cheat on you, like, that would be a big deal, right? But if you study other cultures, and I'm going to bring up Japanese culture in this, because in Japanese culture, for a lot of the women, if the men go and pay for sex with another partner, the women don't have a problem with it. They're like, it's okay. They're paying for a service. They're getting a service. They're not falling in love. Now, if they fell in love, that would be cheating. But how many of you on this already felt like, oh, no, if they went and slept with somebody, that's cheating. It doesn't matter if they're paying for it or not. But that's the culture that they grew up in. So we can start to see the separation between cultures and how we're literally fashioned, conformed, and designed by what we're brought up into believing. Okay, so if all that really is the truth, then why are there such separate identities based on cultures, right? That's why cultural information is so unique, and it's so much fun. At least for me, it's fun to explore. But for a lot of people, right, it's just interesting to look into those different things. But when you believe that something has to be one way in order for it to be right, you've completely missed out on the potential of what you can absorb from other situations, so that you can deduct your own belief system based on that, or find what really resonates with you at a soul level here. Yeah, the star in the reverse, this feels hopeless. Oh my goodness, I can't. And the Six of Cups. And the Six of Cups in this deck, we're talking about real soulmate love here, right? This is disappointing. It's a one-sided love. It's overwhelmingly heartbreaking. Okay, so this is very clear, like sources being very clear. I got that with the dice. This had to do with a romantic connection. We see with the cards, this is absolutely having to do with a romantic connection. Both sixes are in reverse here. The devil also deducing to 6. So we have 666 in a row here. 6 is all about resolution, solution, seeing yourself through eyes of love, balance and harmony, but they're all in reverse. So we see there's an imbalance here, right? There's this want for things to be as they are not. But no matter how much you want something to be, if it's not meant to be, even if it is, could be meant to be later down the road, that's fine. But if it's not meant to be in this moment, sometimes we just have to surrender it so that we can free ourselves from the massive burden that the thoughts are getting produced from this situation, right? And so we see that here with the star in the reverse. This is something that's incredibly hopeless. This is something that is incredibly overwhelming, right? We have Aquarius energy, Scorpio energy, and Capricorn energy coming through here. So you could have Scorpio Venus, you could have Capricorn rising, you could have Aquarius moon here. Okay, and those are the energies that are coming through right now. You could also have Libra, Gemini, and Cancer heavily aspect in your chart. But we do see that there's this energy, and with the King of Wands under the devil, we see this as self-sabotage, but not realizing it, right? So there's no reason to beat yourself up. We're not telling you this so that you beat yourself up. We're telling you this so that you can choose to see it, reframe it, and see something else from this, right? There's a lot of heartbreak here, and it's hard to hold on to this when it's a heartbreak because there's a want to control it. I don't want to feel hurt anymore, so if I can control the outcome, I won't feel hurt anymore. And in controlling the outcome, that gives me a sense of feeling like I have power. But the more controlling that we are, the more out of control that we are, and the more we feel out of control, the more powerless we feel. This is why surrender is such a powerful part of this journey. We cannot control other people, no matter how energetically we're connected to them. We cannot force them to love us. We cannot force them to see us. If they choose not to love us, if they choose not to see us, that's on them. But that is never a reflection of who we are as a person, right? That's a reflection of how they feel about themselves at that moment. We have to leave them in that. We cannot be the punching bag that they want so desperately because hurt people, or because misery loves company. We cannot choose to be that punching bag and hope that our, self-harm is going to create a better situation, because that's literally what's happening here. Feels like this is self-harm through thoughts, feeling like I'm not good enough, feeling like, oh, I don't deserve a love like this, or feeling like I did something wrong along the journey that's keeping me in separation. Separation is what it is right now because there are and will always be two parties involved in this connection. You are one part, not even a half, because you're a whole being. You are one part of this connection. Okay? And if you as a one part are getting hurt, you're feeling abandoned, you're feeling overwhelmed, then you as a whole part have to decide, what is the best action moving forward to me? Do I hold on to this relationship because it is a label, because I want the greatest love of all time? Or do I let go and see, is this really something that I was meant to hold on to, and come back to source, come back to my practices, come back to my spiritual connection, come back to loving myself and reminding myself that I am one lovable beast and I deserve to be loved in this moment as I am. I don't need to change myself for someone to see me, because you don't. But that's what this feels like, is constantly striving to change so that someone else will see you. But then the results never working out the way that you expect them to, and then wondering what's wrong with me. And so then feeling like, oh, if I feel hopeless or down about this connection, I'm the one that's messing up because I'm not allowed to feel down. Guess what, honey? At the end of the day, we're all human. You're gonna feel brokenhearted. Feel into that. It's better to feel into that than it is to compartmentalize that, because the minute you compartmentalize it, that's when that pattern begins to right? We were talking about it in the beginning, the Fibonacci sequence. It's when it begins to cycle back into your life. Okay, wow, we have the 8th house here on the bottom. Transformation, karma, facing fears and legacies, dealing with our shadow selves, right? Libra energy is also dealing with our shadow self. The 7th house can talk about dealing with our shadow selves as well. But this is really about facing this deeply rooted fear. It's almost like if I abandon this relationship, then I'm doing the one thing that I don't want people to do to me. But are you really? Are you abandoning it, or are you saying enough is enough? I deserve someone to choose me in this moment? Because there's a difference with that. So it's about learning to reframe our minds and seeing it from a place of love rather than a place of animosity. And when you've held on for so long, I absolutely understand why it's so easy to come from this place of anger and animosity.
Go ahead.
Okay, so... Okay, we've got broken dreams. Only you can accept or reject your dreams. But see, look, it's broken. The mirror is broken. What you're not seeing clearly is yourself right now. Okay, let me see if I can get that to focus a little better. It's like focusing on something else right now, focusing on what's broken in front of you, but not looking within. Okay? And when we think about the twin flame journey, they're mirroring back to us how we're treating ourselves internally. And that's sometimes really difficult to take on because it's like, no, I love myself. Why can't they love me? But ultimately, if we're saying I love myself, but I have to have this person in my life in order to feel loved, then we don't truly love ourselves, do we? No. So it's about looking at those things that are a little bit harder to acknowledge and to own and take accountability for. But in doing so, you bring in great healing and recognize that you were not broken, nor was this dream broken, that you want this grand love. But maybe you were just holding on to a package that wasn't meant to bring that love to you, and that's okay, right? We have to let go. You don't want to cage a butterfly. Right? We have to let the butterfly go. And if it's meant to be in our life, it will come back to us. Presence of absence on the bottom. Hold what is absence in the presence of your love. You love them, right? We're not denying that at all. But sometimes it's okay to hold this person in love while still going and living your life, which is not necessarily the popular opinion in the spiritual community. And I get that. I get that. But look, coming from my own experience and spending plenty of time with Source in this particular area, I recognized along the way that holding on was just creating a lot more pain and a lot more confusion than was worth. Expecting that one day that he was going to wake up and he was going to come in and be like, you're the person I've loved all along. Even if that's true, right? But eventually moved on and got him his own family and chose that. And that's okay. You have to be okay with that. If they're married, if they're with somebody, can you be okay with that? And if you're saying, no, I absolutely cannot, then that's your blueprint for healing. That's where you need to work on releasing and letting go, right? It's not going to happen overnight, but it's coming to this recognition that I don't need them to survive. And you don't, because guess what, pal? And this whole time you've survived without them. But it's hard to see it that way because you're only striving to bring them into your life. Okay, look, perspective underneath that. A calm and clear mind is free to see differently. Calming yourself and clearing your mind right now so that you can see things differently will help you exponentially on this journey. So interesting. Let's get some more out here, Source. What else? I'll get a few of these cards for you. Okay, I feel like these two and that one. On the bottom, we have messages and dreams. So I do feel like Source has been giving you messages in your dreams. You may have also been dreaming about this person recently, and it's not about them. That's not what it is. It's not about focusing on them. It's about what is happening in the dream. So what are they saying to you? How are they treating you? These are all key points to take from the dream so that you can start to deduce what the meaning is behind this dream, right? There's no denying that there's chemistry and passion here, but chemistry and passion and even love is not enough. You need respect. You need consistency. You need honor. You need integrity. You need someone who's willing to show up and do the work. Not someone who wants you to show up and do all the work while they just lay around like a god of gods and receive all this love from you and give you simple breadcrumbs. That's not how this works. That's not what love is. But that's what so many people treat love as, and that's not fair. That's not fair to the people who are really trying to be out here having healthy relationships. We have growth with summer. Okay, so summertime might be incredibly important for you. We are in the midst of summer right now. We're in the height of summer as it is Leo season. We're about to move into Virgo season. In fact, it might be Virgo season by the time this gets posted, but right. So we're moving into this transformative time, you know, Virgo being a mutable sign. That's when we're transitioning between seasons. Okay. But there's been a lot of growth this year. So honoring your growth and honoring what it is that you've come through up until this point, but also celebrating yourself is incredibly important. What else would you like to tell pile one, source? Okay. Whoa. Thank you. One more. Whoa, I just wanted one more, and we have a grip of them. I'll put these back, and I'll take that one. Okay, so we've got healing that came out. Exactly what I was saying. There is healing here. I got that with the moon card. But look at on the bottom, we have addiction, toxic attachment, drugs, alcohol, obsession. We went over all these things with the devil energy. Okay, this is a very toxic attachment right now. If they're not in their light, if they're in their shadow, that automatically makes it a toxic connection because you're not in vibratory match, right? But that can be hard because it's saying, well, it's all up to me. It's all up to me to make the vibration match. In what realm does that really make sense? Except that this is the pattern that we've been sold by the spiritual community, and especially if you identify with the divine feminine. It's all on your shoulders, divine feminine. You're the one that has to heal, and that's going to force the divine masculine to heal. And there's nothing that you can do to stop this person from coming into your life. Well, guess what? That may or may not be true, but what a burden to hold as a divine feminine when especially we already live in a patriarchal system that makes women the holders of society behind the scenes. This is no different from that, right? We have to allow ourselves to accept what is and move into our power and stand in our strength, knowing that we're not here to carry the divine masculine. The divine masculine is his own person or her own person or their own person, and they have to figure it out for themselves. I'm healing because I want to heal myself. We have healing wounds, improving, mending, and progress. Okay, so you are making progress here. We have Sagittarius energy. What was I saying? So you could be free. Optimism, exploration, and freedom coming out here, okay? Source only wants you to feel free from the situation, free from the pain that this has been causing you. And sometimes we have to take accountability for the fact that the reason we're in so much pain and suffering is because we hold on. It's very human of us, okay? We have angel assistance, spirit guide assistance coming in. So this is not news to you. I feel like this is just reconfirming or reaffirming what your intuition has been telling you. But I was still getting that energy at the beginning where it's like if someone was saying like, oh, you need to release or you need to let go, maybe clicking off of those readings because it's not what you want to hear. Right? And so your guides are coming in and saying like, it's never been about what you want to hear, right? This is the key piece of information you need right now, not what you want, what you need. So we have to discern the difference between that. If it's only what I want, is that really what I need? But we do have a distance here, retreat or time out, okay? So we do see the separation here, but retreat or time out, it's okay for you to take time for yourself right now, okay? Because you're remembering who you are. And that's the most important thing here. It's not about this relationship. It's not about this connection. It's about you remembering who you are. Okay, hookup. We have one night stand, intimacy, casual relationship, or fling. So right now, this person could be out here hooking up with other people. They could be doing other things, right? And it sounds sour, but it's not. It's just you have to let them do their thing. And you have to realize that that's never been or never will be a reflection on you. We have divine intervention. Look, I can't make this up. Okay, serendipity is supernatural and karma. We had the 8th house with facing your fears. and spiritual awakening, because you're remembering who you are. Enlightenment, epiphany, life lessons, and a rebirth here. You're remembering who you are. Okay, so let's take a look at this card. I'm going to read this from the book. We've got the unseen. Wow. Look at this image with the eye right there. Okay, this is all about following your intuition. And your intuition is not always what your mind is trying to convince you of. And sometimes it's discerning the difference between the two. You know, we're saying, oh, this is my intuition. This is my intuition. When really we're following our ego and not realizing it, because our ego is that sketch, okay? Our ego's it's just our ego. It's convinced us so much along the way of things that were not healthy for us and that it thought it was protecting us from. And so holding on to this, it could be that it's imagining that it's protecting us from future heartbreak from other people. If we hold on to this relationship, then I'm not ever going to experience heartbreak from other relationships. But what about the heartbreak that you're experiencing from this connection right now? Okay? And I know it's not easy, and I know this is not a simple message, but understanding that you deserve so much right now, but you have to believe that. I could tell you until I'm blue in the face. Every person in your life could tell you that until they're blue in the face. But if you don't believe it, whatever I say or what anyone else says, it doesn't mean anything. It says the spirit, ancestors, and the eternal. It says being graced by the unseen is a gift. Treat it kindly. Allow yourself to be seen by external eyes. It says guidance comes in many forms. Don't expect it to be glittery or comfortable. Look, I can't make this up. The spirit world speaks the truth. Sometimes it soothes, and sometimes it burns. The unseen is just as it sounds. We cannot see it, yet it sees us, watching and waiting with wisdom both kind and instructive. We feel this presence, sense it, intuit it, and then doubt its existence. Though it rallies our attention time and time again. The energy of the unseen may come in many forms. A compelling dream. Ooh, and we had dreams on the bottom of the deck, right? A compelling dream, a sudden insight, a clear voice, a vision, or a message from a loved one who has passed to the other side. It is natural to fear these communications as they challenge our perception of what is real. When this card appears, your guides are near, and we got the spirit guides card here too. Wow. The eternal is present. The doorway between worlds is ajar. Listen, the sounds may seem as though they come from a distant land, and we have the distance card here, but they call from your innermost chambers. When light, you are clairvoyant. You receive your guidance in whispers of wisdom. When dark looming energy, unwillingness to forgive. To go deeper, check out King Hamlet or the Three Fates or even The Shining. Interesting that they would have The Shining on here. All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. So again, it's like coming back to what they said, don't expect it to be glittery or comfortable. And that's why I kept getting this energy of, I only want to hear what I want to hear, right? I want it to make me feel good. Of course, we all want that. But the truth is that that's not the reality of this journey, and that's not the reality of this life. And it's not the reality of our spiritual enlightenment and our spiritual awakening. Sometimes our spiritual awakening makes us face the lies that we've told ourselves without realizing they were lies. We believe them as truth. We believe them to be our identity. And then that comes crashing down, and that feels like we're breaking apart. But sometimes, Pile 1, we have to break apart. It's like falling apart to fall into place. And that's what I feel like this is. It's just helping you to let go of something that's creating a lot of dissonance and pain so that you can fall apart to fall into place. Okay, I love you so much. I'm grateful that I was able to connect with you in this way. And if you stuck it out with me the whole reading, thank you. Because I know this is not an easy message. But if you feel like this is your message, leave the little third eye emoji down below and say, I awaken now to my spiritual guidance, knowing that they're leading me to my path of healing, which isn't always what I want, but it will always be what I need right now in this moment. And if it resonated with you, it means so much to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you're interested in supporting the channel further, please check out the description box. It will have everything you need, including how to reach me for a personal reading, as well as how to join as a member here on the channel. And with that, I do want to take a quick second to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, your angel source, and my spirit guides for coming together to give us this powerful message for you. And until next time, pile number 1, stay human. Bye. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this root chakra red jasper gemstone, or if you were drawn to this 4th house and this dice, if you were drawn to this card during the shuffle, this is going to be a reading on a golden key from the universe, the piece of information you need right now. First, I would love to say thank you to anyone and everyone that continues to be a supportive part of the journey with me. Truly honored to be sharing this time and this space with you. And for anyone new here, welcome. This is a reminder that we're all here sharing this human experience together, and that this is a safe space to show up as your highest, most aligned, loving, authentic self. We do things completely differently here on this channel, so with that in mind, if the messages happen to resonate, it would mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And with that being said, let's jump to it and find out what is the golden key from the universe for pile number 2 source, the piece of information they need right now. Source, what is the golden key from you today, the piece of information that pile number 2 needs right now? Interesting. Okay, so we've got the 9th house, we have Virgo energy, and we have Saturn. This is interesting because this feels like you've been struggling with either higher learning and education. So this could be school, finals, exams, and all that stuff. This could also be like legal, like you've studied legal or psychology, or spirituality coming through. So it could be any of those things, all right? But I do feel like there's been a great struggle, almost as if you've hit a dip and you don't know how to get beyond the dip. So this could also be like language learning. This could be divination, learning about divination. This could be learning about a new spiritual modality, a healing modality. This could be shadow work. It could be anything like that, okay? But it feels like you've hit some sort of block or a dip in the learning process, and there's been a lot of struggle, and you've shown up and you've shown up and you've shown up and feeling like you're not making any progress, and a sense of frustration that's coming from that, you know, wanting to be able to show your skills and wanting to be able to share this part of yourself, but also the sense of it needing to be somewhat perfect in order for you to show this part of yourself. And you don't need to be perfect. Like, there's no need for perfection here. In fact, showing and sharing what you've already learned has a way of humbling us and reminding us that yes, we've learned much, but that there's always more to learn. That's the beautiful thing about this journey, is that none of us are going to be 100%. Like, even if we are a master in our trade, our craft, our skills, or whatever it is, there's still always more to learn, and even masters make mistakes, right? And so reminding ourselves of this and reminding ourselves to stay humble by the process is something that will greatly serve you. We see with Saturn here, it's like Saturn is the planet of tough love. It teaches us hard work, it teaches us patience, it begs us to go towards the things that we want, while understanding and accepting that it is a slow process, right? We're trying to speed things along. We come from a society that's built upon instant gratification. And so when we want something, we're not instantly gratified by it. We're thinking that something's wrong with the process. We're thinking that something's wrong with us. And that's not at all the case. This is Saturn coming in and saying, how bad do you really want it? Because if you really want it this bad, it's going to take hard work. It's going to take effort. It's going to take you putting forth your best for a long time in order to achieve those goals, right? Saturn is tied with our long-term goals, not short-term. our long-term goals. So we have to remember that as we're moving forward. And staying humble. And also with Virgo energy here, it's just creating a plan and following the plan. I feel many of you already have a plan in place. And that's Source coming in and reminding you to just stick to the plan, right? It's going to take time, but stick to the plan. And I keep hearing, if at first you don't succeed, try again, right? That's just a part of the process. There's always going to be ups and downs, but don't berate yourself believing that you're not good enough or that you're not educated enough. Rather, celebrate how far you've come. So let's see what else Source would like to bring forth here. So Source, what is the golden key from you today? The piece of information that my fellow humans need right now. What would you like to share with them today, Source? The golden key that my fellow humans need right now, Source. Okay, thank you. What is the golden key that my fellow humans need right now? Yeah, there's this sense of a huge change that's happening for you, but I feel like the change is very much internal. So it's an internal shift, not an external shift, okay? Source, what is the key piece of information that pile number 2 needs right now? Thank you. All right. Source, what is the key piece of information that pile number 2 needs right now? The golden key from you. Thank you. All right, on the bottom of the deck, yeah, wow. Yeah, we have the Knight of Coins in the reverse. Yeah, there's a rush to get somewhere, but it's like you're getting nowhere fast. No matter how much you try to rush or force or push your way through, Saturn's at play right now, right? And it could be that because Saturn just dipped back into Pisces, or Pisces dipped into Saturn. I don't know how you'd say that. I think it's Saturn just dipped into Pisces again, and it's going to be there until the beginning of 2026. And for those of us with predominant Pisces placements or just Pisces placements in general, we're noticing that there's been a lot of difficulties. And you might have felt a reprieve because Saturn moved into Aries for a couple of months, and there was a reprieve from Pisces energy, which was like, I can breathe again, right? And I am a Pisces sun, and Pisces is rampant across my chart. And so I have felt it with those of you that know this energy. But also, I feel like you could have Saturn in Pisces or have predominant Pisces placements in your chart. Even if you only have 1 or 2, you're going to notice there's been a lot of struggle with that, especially if you have 9th house in Pisces. Or even if you have the 12th house in Virgo, I'm hearing. So there's this energy right now that's coming through where it's like, I want to rush. I just want to get past this difficult energy. I just want to get on the other side of this energy. And right now there is no getting around it. You just have to go through it, right? And with the Page of Knights in the reverse here, it's like there's no rushing. It's literally a slow process, right? This is Taurus energy. There's a lot of stubbornness that's coming through here. There's a lot of resistance to change because I feel like in the past you've been able to just force your way through the other side, and you've reached a part of your journey where there's literally no forcing allowed. And it's more about receiving what it is that you have learned, what it is that you've absorbed. It's receiving what all of that culmination of information can do for you, right? So if you're learning about law, right, and there's tons of legal jargon and there's tons of terms that you have to remember, or if you're in the medical industry and you're learning all about, you know, trying to get better education in the medical industry, and there's tons of jargon and there's tons of terms, and these are just the examples that are coming through right now. Right? And it's like you've studied, and you feel like you only know like 5% of these terms, even though you've studied 100% of what they've given you. I study, and I can't remember them all, no matter how hard I try. It's just so frustrating, feeling like you've hit a brick wall. Right? And this could be any aspect of your life. It's like you're putting forth the effort and you hit a brick wall. And it's everything is slowed way down. And it's because right now there is an integration process that's happening. And it's like Source puts everything in slow motion, right? When we just got out of Mercury retrograde, where Mercury went direct, but we're still in the shadow right now. But when retrogrades happen, right, everything slows way down so that we can reassess where we're at. But right now, Saturn is at play where it's like asking you to show up and do the work, regardless if you're getting paid for it or not, regardless if you're seeing the benefits of it or not. It's not about the progress as much as it is the process right now. And that's what I feel like Saturn is here to teach you, which is interesting that you got the 4th house, right? Not the Saturn pile. That's interesting. Okay, so we have the Emperor in the reverse. Yeah. We have the Page of Swords, and we have the Hangman, Pisces, Neptune energy coming through here in the reverse. Yeah. Believing the illusions over the energy that you might be experiencing on a more nuanced level, on a subtle energy, on a subtle level. So there's this where I'm believing what I'm seeing, right? Look at how he's staring at this Emperor in the reverse. And the Emperor in reverse is it's somebody who's incredibly brutal, who's manipulative, who, dare I say, has very highly narcissistic tendencies. Again, I'm not here to diagnose. I'm just telling you the energies that are coming through. This is someone who this could be a father figure. This could be a boss. This could be someone who has an authority figure over you. You know, take it as you will. It could be a professor. It could be anybody, okay? It could be an Aries. This individual, though, or this situation it's just been really brutal towards you. And we see that, right? We see that they're facing you. You're being represented by the Page of Swords here, which, you know, don't fret. It's okay. But there's this not wanting to face the reality of the situation, that they're just difficult. This is a difficult situation. And the only way to get out of this situation is to go through it. There is no shortcut here. Okay, and I feel like the perspective is that I want there to be a shortcut. But if you see, he's about to lob his head off with his sword here, which is saying that I'm stuck in my thoughts way too much about the situation. So just say, for example, we're talking about school. So we're going to go back to that just to kind of keep things consistent here. So we're talking about school. If it's a professor, and say the professor's a really rough professor, like they just barely give out good grades, and if you want a good grade, like you have to completely overextend yourself. Like they not only make you earn it, they make you earning it type energy, okay? And you're doing everything possible, you're putting forth your best foot, but this teacher is barely passing you, right? This professor is barely passing you, and it's like, what the heck? And so you're focused on the fact that this professor is such a jerk. Like, oh my gosh, no matter how hard I try, this professor is making me do this. But then we see there's the slanted perspective coming in, and that's the only thing that you can focus on. And what Source is saying is, instead of focusing on this person, focus on what it is they're teaching you, right? So, okay, maybe you do have to work extra hard, but would you work this hard if you had a lenient professor? Probably not. Right? And that's what they're saying. So they're teaching you valuable lessons, even if they are a complete JA, okay? Like, even if they are a complete jerk. It's like they're teaching you valuable energy. They're teaching you valuable methods. They're teaching you valuable information because they're drilling you with this energy or with this information over and over again. Right? And so if this is a boss per se, maybe it's because your projects are never up to par, or this, that, and the other, okay? Instead of focusing solely on the boss, focus on the fact that, wow, maybe they are tough on me, but I'm gaining valuable experience for when I find a better position for myself, right? So this is about reframing how you're seeing this situation. It is a slow process. And maybe that's what's so frustrating about it, is like when you're dealing with someone who's in this energy, it makes time slow down even more. And it becomes even more frustrating. And it's like, I just want to leave this situation. I just want to get out of it. And there's a feeling of uncertainty. I don't know if you can hear the siren. Yeah, they're passing right now. Just came out. Yeah. So remembering that this is a call to action for yourself. That's what I just heard. Wow. There's a really strong message that came in. This is a call to action for yourself. Not about this person, not about what's involved, not about whatever it is that you're dealing with this person. You have to remember that's their business, how they show up in life, because you're not the only one that they're treating this way, right? They're treating a lot of people this way. So really just leaving them to their own devices. But rather, what can you take from the situation? So if this is like a family member and they're really, really being hard on you, but you've always give them the benefit of the doubt, and you always say, okay, you know, like, I'll be a part of your life, or I'll give you my time and attention, or I'll be there for you. You know, what is the lesson here? Maybe the lesson is to draw back your attention and not give them so much of your time and energy, right? So what are they teaching me? They're teaching you how to love yourself. They're teaching you how to respect yourself. They're teaching you how to research. They're teaching you how to take a hard situation and make the most of it. And even though it's like so easy to blame them, well, it's their fault. It's their fault that this is so hard. If they could just let up, if they could just see me for who I am, if they could just love me, right? But nothing you do will ever change that for them, because they have to make that choice for themselves. So you see how pointless and fruitless it is to hold on to if this other party involved only, and insert whatever only comes after only. It's fruitless to hold on to that, because if that party does not want to make a shift or a change in their own life, they won't. And no amount of you manipulating or convincing or arguing or fighting or you know, trying to show them whatever it is, right? And just owning your own self, right? We've all been there. We've all fought. We've all argued. We've all manipulated. We've all tried to do these things because we want them to see ourselves. That's a part of the emotional ego at play, and that's okay, right? But owning that part of ourselves and saying, like, what happens if I just step back and do the best that I can? What happens? And that's what Source is saying. The key piece of information you need right now is to really just take a step back. You don't want to face the fact that this person is who they are, but sometimes that's the only way for us to get through it, is to realize that this person is just who they are. The good, the bad, the beautiful, and the ugly. At the end of the day, we're all at some point a reflection of Source, right? We're all little fingers of Source here, living lives on Earth, if you want to look at it that way. But so everybody that we run into, the good, the bad, the beautiful, and the ugly, is here to show us a part of ourselves we would not have otherwise acknowledged. Whether that's us abandoning ourselves, neglecting ourselves, being disrespectful to ourselves, loving ourselves, right? Taking care of ourselves, nurturing ourselves, being friendly to ourselves. All these things are a reflection back unto us. And so opening ourselves up to the potential of what this situation is teaching you will give you the answer as to how to move forward. Yeah, to not give up hope, right? You're on a good path forward, but right now the only way is to go through. It doesn't matter how many things come at you from how many different sides. There's only one path, and that's through this. You see it's blocked on all sides of the card. Okay, there's no other way around this. You just have to go through. That's it. There's the only one way through this. And it is a slow process, but don't be your worst enemy here. And don't get so caught up in the illusion of what you're seeing with your eyes. Rather, come back to yourself. What are you feeling energetically? What are you feeling called to do? Listening to your intuition. Right? On the bottom of the deck, we have sextile, a combination of tension and flow. Look, a potential and a rewarding situation, and trying underneath that, angelic support, harmony, and perfect flow. So this is meant to help you gain assistance from your team, your spiritual team, coming back to this divine connection. That's the only thing that matters right now, is this divine connection. This beautiful connection and this beautiful conversation that you can have between you and your spiritual team. Okay? And I know that's oftentimes much easier said than done, but it's just reminding you that you're far more intuitive than you're giving yourself credit for, and that even though this is a hard situation, how can you still remain grounded in a way that gives you that access to your intuition and insight? We have number 44, Lantern. Consciousness is light. She's blindfolded here, right? She's moving about this world that is destroyed. Look at how destroyed this world is. She's carrying her lanterns. It's finding and carrying this glass piece, okay? Or this world on her shoulders. But it's about feeling what she needs to do to move forward. Consciousness is light. Remembering, bringing it into our awareness. Bringing ourselves into our awareness. Bringing everything into awareness. Realizing that even really, really seemingly what we label as bad people in this world are still somewhat, some way, shape, or form here to teach us something about ourselves. Maybe we didn't feed that wolf growing up, but what kept us from feeding that wolf? Well, because I wouldn't have, that's not a viable answer, right? It's kind of like when I was growing up, my mom always had the favorite answer of because I said so. But that's not a viable answer to a child, because that just makes them like, oh, no, you can't do that because I said so. So what is that child going to do? They're going to be like, well, what happens if I do it? Right? Because there's no explanation. So we have to stop giving ourselves this explanation, well, because I didn't or because I wouldn't. Because it's not an explanation, right? Why wouldn't you? And go deeper. Well, you know, maybe I did give in to that wolf at one time and I really, really hurt someone and I did not like the way that it made me feel. And so I decided that I didn't want to go down that path. Right? And being honest with ourselves, because we've all played both roles. No one gets out of this life playing only one role. It's just impossible. Why? Because we're human. Our emotions rule us so much of the time until we learn how to control our emotions and let our mind and our logic be what leads us. Right? Because so much of the time we're just kind of casually bumping around like pinballs in a pinball machine. When our emotions get crazy, there we go, flying off again, hitting a whole bunch of points and thinking that we're winning some game when really we're not, right? Look at this. Aditi, we have expand your consciousness on the bottom of the deck. Exactly. This is, and consciousness is light. Okay, so this is all about expanding your awareness of the things and the people that are around you. Instead of focusing on the negatives of this person, how can you focus on the love, right? It's not about how this person loves you, but it's about what is this situation bringing me to? How can this bring me closer to love? How can you find it within yourself to be more compassionate towards the situation? How can you find it to be more open to what you're receiving in this moment and why it's important, right? Because that's where the beautiful change comes from. Wow. Didn't I say that at the beginning too? That you're experiencing a huge shift, a huge change? All right, Source, what else would you like for them? For pile 2, inner connection. Trust your intuition. One more. Thank you. We have inner connection. Wow, if I could pick up the card. Listen to your inner voice in decision making and daily interactions. This is your inner voice, okay, the inner dialogue. But also, am I listening to my intuition, or is this my emotional ego because it's hurt? Is this my pride talking back to me? Understanding this part of yourself will help you navigate the situation with far more ease. On the bottom, we have forbidden formula. Find an unconventional solution and apply it discreetly. Innovate responsibly and maintain ethics. Exactly. So we don't want you to fly off the rocker here. That's not why we're giving you this information right now. It's because we really want you to come back to this place of expansion. We want you to come back to this place of inner growth, which is difficult in a situation like this, right? It takes a lot of courage, coming out, bravery, adventure, fatal, and brilliant, right? There's a lot of courage that's being asked of you right now to take up arms in a way that's going to help you just blend in, but get through. Right? And the only reason you're taking up arms is to protect yourself, but not to fight back. It's like parrying. Is that the right word in fencing or in sword fighting? Like you're parrying people's advances, their attacks, right? This is the process right now. Journey, growth, path, and experiences. This is what you're experiencing. This is a part of the path to gain experience and growth. We've been talking about that. Is it a difficult part? Yes, it is. It's incredibly difficult, but not without warrant. There's a reason. Let's get an angel number for you, pile 2. Oh, okay. Wow. This number. 1, 2, 3, 4. Connection. Personal growth. Oneness. Yes. And manifesting goals, connection, and completion. First, focus on the positive changes occurring due to your efforts. Then, expand your horizons and permit yourself to try something new. So many positive shifts are in store for you. The world around you is changing in favor of your intentions. Yeah, so this is a beautiful energy. But connection, we're looking at that universal oneness, universal love, right? One love energy. But that can be hard to see when we're coming from a hurt place, or we're coming from a triggered state. We're not seeing oneness, right? We're seeing that they're separate from me because I would never treat somebody like that. But how do we know if we don't look at our own actions or take accountability for where we've been at in our own lives? Have you maybe said something like that to someone in your past out of anger or out of, emotional turmoil? And we have to look at those parts of ourselves. We have 1221, taking action. What did I say? Taking informed action? What did I say? I don't even remember how I said it earlier. It came through so strong. That reminder to take, oh my gosh, when the siren happened, I said it. I can't even remember what it was I said, but taking action, moderation, patience, flow, clarity, joy, movement, self-realization, and taking action. Self-realization. So important for your journey right now. Right? Of course, it's easy to get stuck in this situation and where this person's at and what they're doing, but that's not where you're going to find your strength at. Okay, we have house 11 here, friends, like-minded groups, and humanitarian beliefs. For you to start inviting in people of like mind, you have to let go of the situation as it is right now. Holding on is only creating recurrent patterns in your life. The unknown, knowing the unknown. Yeah, it's time for you to walk through the portal here, to walk through the gate. Okay, you might have gotten some vital information for the Lionsgate portal as well if you're watching this during August. Okay, look at this. We have Mary Magdalene with the sacred marriage. Now, this card is very important because we're talking about marriage with the divine. Okay, the marriage with source, marriage with your spirit guides, right? That sounds kind of weird, but it's true. It's reconnecting with your internal soul and what that brings for you. We have gemstone trap. Amidst sparkling treasures, the brightest jewel often hides the deepest cut. Seek worth, not just shine. And that's pretty telling, right? The brightest jewel often hides the deepest cut. It's like we can say that we would never act the way that another person does, but it's like the more that we try to shine it, the more we're trying to hide parts of ourselves we don't want to take accountability for. So just reminding yourself that it's okay. If you did do that, it's okay. Everybody messes up. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has human moments because that's a part of this journey, right? It doesn't make you a bad person just because you made a bad decision or had a mistake. That doesn't make you a bad person at all. It's just taking accountability for that is oftentimes one of the most difficult things that we can do, but it's also the most profound thing that we can do. Okay, so we have Harvester. An unexpected truth will soon be revealed, necessitating a reassessment of trust, assessing relationships. Yeah, so maybe what you're only seeing what is on the surface and you're not seeing something much deeper. And that's why it's important for you to come back to self, is when you reconnect with your intuition, you'll be able to see what's going on a deeper level here. And you have this character, I mean, he's pretty gruesome, right? It looks like death coming in here, right? And we have the 12th house. Did I say the 12th house in Virgo for you guys? I think I did. What? And you've got the 9th house and the 3rd house here, or it just 3, 12, and 9. I guess this could be just, what are they, the Dungeons and Dragons dice? I'm not sure what they're called, but yeah, it could be one of those as well. But I'm pretty sure I said the 12th house in Virgo. That's interesting. Gratitude, appreciate, thank you, and cherish. So coming back to a practice of gratitude will help you to raise your vibration right now. and surprise unexpectedly another way and beyond imagination. So there's another way to approach this situation, and you're not seeing the big surprise that's just around the corner, right? There's something that's just on the other side here that's going to give you a big surprise and you're going to feel really good about. Oh, excuse me. So we're going to take a look at this card. I'm going to read this from the book. Wow. We have the Mask. You know, it is so easy, and I've been guilty of this too, right? And especially coming from where I'm at, in the position that I'm in, having to take accountability for my own masks and having to take accountability for the things that I've done in my own life, you know, and how I too have hurt people in my life. And I always believed I was the good person, and I always believed that I was the victim for a long time. And when I started healing, there were things that came up when I was like, wow, I really did that. And it hurt. It really hurt honoring that part of myself and realizing that the shadow existed within myself as much as it existed within the people who had hurt me in my life. But coming from that place has given me such power and strength to own who I am now and to be at peace with the decisions that I made back when I didn't know any better, and back when I believed that I was victimized and I deserved to be victimized. It doesn't mean that I wasn't a victim. I was a victim of different circumstances, of course, but staying in that victim mentality kept me from healing. And so I had to empower myself and become the empowered empath, because a lot of times, especially if you're empathic, it's easy to stay in the victim mindset. And we have the unempowered empath who is unaware of their own actions. So we're trying to step up into this 3113 on the clock. We're trying to step up into this empowered empath energy. So we have 61, I believe. 50. Okay. Yeah, 61. It says, as the Zen koan suggests, meditate on your original face, the one you had before your mother and father were born. And then it says, think of a mask or a costume you wore that felt empowering. Wow, we were just talking about that. The empowered empath. Marvelous or fun. Who was it you were being? Is that who still within you? So this is the persona, the performance, or the reveal, right? So we often think of a mask as something that conceals our identity, yet contemplate the possibility that the mask permits our true identity to be revealed. It allows. The mask gives voice to that which was previously rejected. When this card appears, enact the side of you that is seeking expression, yet was never given a role to play on the stage of your life. You are in the realm of theater, so anything is possible. Speak with the other's voice. Embody the other's limbs. You're taking part in a ritual of expanding the self, expanding consciousness. There may be mischief and deception around, and others may be trying on new masks too. No one is sure who is who. It's likely you become so attached to a single mask that you need to fall face forward into this perception-bending time. Trust it. When light, it reveals what has been suppressed, and that's what we've been talking about. It says, when dark, further conceals what is rejected. To go deeper, the masks of James Ensor, Joan Jonas, and Jimmy Durham. Interesting. So it's just reminding yourself, like, the roles that we play, they don't have to be strictly one thing, right? And if we're saying, oh, I have to maintain a pure positive attitude, that's the only way I'm going to be a good person. But there's going to be moments when you have to defend yourself and stand up for yourself. So what happens to that pure positivity, right? And being that pure positive person when sometimes you have to come across as a bad guy because you have to set boundaries. Right, so we have to remember there's going to be hats that we put on throughout our lives. But if we're only stuck into trying to fit into this all light energy, we're not giving ourselves the full spectrum of who we are as a being here on this earth, expressing ourselves. We're meant to feel the full spectrum of emotions. Both light and dark emotions are going to be at one point present within our journey. And so if we're telling ourselves, oh, I can only be the expression of those light energies, we're basically saying that anything dark doesn't belong in me, and that's something that needs to be eradicated, which means that we're suppressing or disowning a part of ourselves, which is why the whole theme of your reading, pile 2, has been, what is this person showing me? Because the very thing that you don't like about this person may be the very thing that you've been trying to suppress or not reveal about yourself. And like I said, I understand from personal experience how difficult it can be to get into that. But it is also incredibly empowering when you give that part of yourself a chance to tell you what it's been trying to tell you for so long, even though you've kept it locked up. Okay? Wow, this is a really, really deep reading. So this is what I see here for you. If you felt like this was your reading, leave the 2 little drama masks. I think they're either like this or like that. Yeah, so leave the 2 little drama masks emoji down below and say, I give freedom for all the masks that I wear, a chance to have expression so that I can know myself wholly and completely as I am in this life. And if it resonated with you, it would mean so much to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you're interested in supporting the channel further, please check out the description box. It'll have everything you need, including how to reach me for a personal reading, as well as how to join as a member here on the channel. With that, I want to take a quick second to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, your angel source, and my spirit guides for coming together to give us this incredibly powerful message. And until next time, pile number 2, stay human. Bye. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this third eye, I'm sorry, this is the crown chakra gemstone. We're going to get there. All right. If you were drawn to this gemstone, I believe it is amethyst. Or if you're drawn to this dice with the north node on it. Or if you were drawn to these cards, because you got 2 pile 3 for some reason. So if you were drawn to these cards during the shuffle, this is going to be your reading on a golden key from the universe, the piece of information you need right now. First, I would love to say thank you to anyone and everyone that continues to be a supportive part of the journey with me. I'm truly honored to be sharing this time and this space with you. And if you are new here, welcome. This is a reminder that we're all here sharing this human experience together, and that this is a safe space to show up as your highest, most aligned, loving, authentic self. We do things completely differently here, so if the message happens to resonate with you, it would mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. With that being said, let's go ahead and hop to it and find out. Source, what is the golden key from the universe for pile number 3? What is the piece of information that pile number 3 needs right now? Source, what is the golden key from you? The piece of information that pile number 3 needs right now. What would you like to share? Okay, so we've got the 7th house. We have Aries energy and we have Mercury. It's interesting because when I was getting started, I kept hearing conflicting energy. Conflicting energy. So I'm not sure really what that has to do with your reading in and of itself. You know, we've got 7th house and Aries here together, which is the opposite energies as well. So 7th house is Libra energy and Aries. So Libra and Aries are on the opposite side of the zodiac. So, you know, for each sign you have Pisces, Virgo, Libra, Aries, Cancer, Capricorn, Scorpio, Taurus, Aquarius, Leo, Sagittarius, and Gemini. So those are all the pairs, right? They all have their equal and opposite. And sometimes you will find that opposites attract, and you'll see a lot of opposite energies like that together. So water with the mutable water with the mutable earth, or mutable fire with the mutable air, right? So on and so forth. And so Libra is cardinal energy, cardinal air, and Aries is cardinal fire. And so we see that here, and it's interesting because I feel like that's something that's been happening, is this very conflicting energy. You're not sure of how to observe it is coming in, but how to take what's happening, because it's leaving you confused and conflicted. And so there's something here that's going to be communicated to you soon with Mercury, but also remaining adaptive to what's going on outside and around you, and remembering that you are in control of your destiny is the main energy that's coming through right now. Taking charge of yourself, especially when it comes to relationships, right? It's not about the relationship. It's not about the other person. We're trying to use this time and this energy to focus back on ourselves, and that's what's so vital right now. When you focus back on yourself, then you get this communication that comes in where things won't feel as conflicting, where things won't feel as unstable as well. And I do feel like there's a sense of anger that's coming through with this Aries energy. There's a lot of rage, honestly, a lot of rage that's with this, just like, that really makes me so mad. I can't stand it. I just want to, you know what I mean? And yeah, I feel it. I feel it in my solar plexus chakra, like just a lot of fire that's coming in right now. And you might have an upset stomach, or you've been dealing with an upset stomach, or you've been dealing with, and I apologize if this is TMI, but loose stool. I'm trying to keep it so it's not so, grody and stuff. But this is because of that fire, the rage that's been coming up from this situation, the confusion, the conflict that's arising there. So there's a conflict here that's starting to make more sense now. We see there's just, and it could be a spouse, this could be an interpersonal relationship, family, this could be a lover, this could be a potential romantic interest, this could be friendship, right? The 7th house deals with people we connect to on an intimate level. So it doesn't have to just be romance, but a lot of people do liken it to romance, but it's so much more than just romantic relationships, okay? So it could be anybody in your life, but you're going to know who it is. You're going to know what this is regarding. Yeah, there's a need to move on here. Feeling like, oh, I thought this was an ally. I thought that they were trying to help me. I thought that this was supposed to be good, right? But the only outcome here is to move forward. The only outcome is to maybe take a small trip for yourself so you can reconnect with yourself, right? Even if you can't go on a vacation, sometimes just getting in your car and going and taking a cruise down some of your favorite streets, listening to your favorite music is enough to give you fresh perspective, okay? That's just one idea here. Going to your favorite park and walking around your favorite park, right? Like anything that can help get you out of your head and back into your body. Because I do feel like your body is trying to tell you something, but it's been very hard to listen to because there's this essence of being stuck in the mind, replaying events over and over again. And please don't feel like you're alone in this. This is something that is natural for our process. And sometimes we just spiral and we get so stuck in our heads, and that's okay, right? That's all right. So for pile 3 source, what is the key piece of information they need right now? What is the golden key from you? Okay, thank you. What is the golden key from you? This might feel dangerous, like emotionally dangerous is what's coming through. Not physically dangerous, although for some, emotional duress feels physically dangerous. So, reminding yourself that you're safe and putting yourself in a safe situation will help as well, okay? So, source, what is the golden key from you? The key piece of information that pile number 3 needs to know right now. Okay. What is the piece of information pile number 3 needs right now, source? Thank you. What is the golden key from you that pile number 3 needs to know right now? One more, please. Okay. This could be a mother figure, a wife, a feminine partner, a Taurus or Libra partner, someone who's heavily influenced by Venus. Okay. Yeah, 2 of Cups. Okay. It is someone you love, all right? And we're not... So, I don't know. It's 2 of Cups. Everybody's like, oh, 2 of Cups. But in the Tarot Marseille, the 6 of Cups is actually a more romantic love than the Two of Cups. The Two of Cups is just, it's love. It's love. It's an all-encompassing love. And so it's just you and another person that you love deeply. Friend, family, co-worker, spouse, child, so on and so forth. Okay? So we see that this is someone that you love deeply. You will always love this person, right? But the situation with the Empress in the reverse, we see here, this person's a little bit impulsive. They're definitely ruled by their emotions. Like, they have tantrums. They have outbursts at time. Like, there's really not a manipulative energy here as much as it's just this person lets their emotions get the best of them. And, you know, it's hard because it's when you're getting the brunt end of someone who's unhealed, like, you literally see the worst parts of them. And there's nothing that you can do to convince them that if you just tried this, it would help things. Or, you know, if you tried meditating, it would help draw you away from your emotions. Rather, what's happening is when this person gets into these, we'll call them temper tantrums for right now, because it's really the type of energy that I'm feeling. So when they get into these temper tantrums, now it's affecting you. And then suddenly you might find yourself also mirroring that energy where now you're in a temper tantrum, or where you're feeling like, wow, I haven't acted like this in a long time. Like, what the hey is happening right now? And it's because this person is a huge personality, and you're spending a lot of time around this person, and thus it's affecting you. And remembering that we don't have to choose that path, right? We can choose to withdraw and come back to ourselves and reground in the situation. And I feel like that's necessary for you. Yeah, you've definitely outgrown acting like this person. This could be a family member that maybe you acted like as well at some point in time on your journey. And I always say that, right? We have to take accountability for our own actions on our own journeys, even if those actions are not so pretty. Everybody loves owning the good stuff, right? But real, true control of ourselves comes from when we own the bad stuff too. And the not so pretty stuff, and the stuff that's like, I don't know, I don't know about that. Yeah, this is someone who's really overprotective of you. This is someone who's difficult to reason with, right? This is someone who's very excessively involved in others' lives, very much tied to the gossip chain. Everywhere you go, it's like Peyton Place, right? Like, they know the ins, they know the outs of everybody that's going, that's around. And it could be the neighborhood. Like, this is someone, like, maybe it's a mother. Okay, just an example here. It's like, maybe it's your mother, and your mother talks to every neighbor. And she knows everything about every neighbor. And she has to tell you everything about every neighbor and what's going on with every neighbor. But in turn, you're also realizing that not only is she finding out about all the neighbors, she's also telling all the neighbors about you, right? And it's not that, here's the thing. Yes, that's gossip, but it's not like intentional gossip. She's not saying this to make you feel bad. She's not saying it to paint you in a bad light. It's literally the only way she knows how to communicate. Okay, and again, this is just an example, but that's the type of energy that this person's in. They're in a very outdated model of society. Back in the day when we got to know our neighbors and we told our neighbors everything, and when your grandma talked to your mom or your grandpa talked to your dad, maybe not so much of the men, although I can't say that's true because personally I've experienced a lot of men who've been in that energy as well. So I think it just depends on the person. But I do feel like this person, they're not doing it to manipulate you. They're not doing it to hurt you, because we don't have manipulation cards here. Okay, we don't have manipulation energy here. But it is something that creates a lot of anger and resentment within you. Why? Because it is absolutely frustrating. And it is. It's frustrating as all get out. But this person is stuck in a past way of living. Okay, it's very old. It's a very outdated module is what I keep hearing. It's an outdated module of living. And they don't want to change, right? They're very stubborn. They don't want to change. And it's impulse. It's like when people are talking, it's like, oh, I have a story that's like that too. You might, okay, so there's this term that has been going around, And it's a real thing, but it's like a conversational narcissist. They might very well be a conversational narcissist as well. So it's like when you're trying to talk about your day or something that feels very important to you, and they cut in right away and they're like, oh my gosh, that's like Sandra down the way when Sandra did this and her kid did that. It's exact same situation, but it actually isn't. It has nothing to do with like what you're talking about. But in their mind, that's the connection that they're making. And so they automatically take over the conversation. They're not just doing that with you. They're doing that with everybody that they talk to. They get the stories and then they use the stories that they have. And so the same thing. And I think people are probably just accommodating it because they don't know any better and they haven't learned any better. But we see that you are overcoming the negativity here slowly. It's been a process. I feel like what you need to know, pile number 3, is that this person is not doing this with malicious intent. They're not going out there saying like, I'm going to spread the worst rumors I can about pile number 3 because screw pile 3. They're so crazy and they deserve to be hurt. No, like this person's literally, this is their mode of operation. Okay. This is how they work. They just, all their lives, they get a story and they start going in their mind like, what story can I tie into this so that I can talk? This is someone who wants to hear themselves talk. And it's not for malicious reasons. It's probably, more than anything, if we were to go back and research this person's childhood, we would see that this person never had an opportunity to speak as a child, or they were always told to be quiet, or they were always told to, shut up and listen, whatever, right? They were never given free rein to express themselves. And now as an adult, no matter how old of an adult they are, they've realized that people love this type of information. And if I can have that information at the standby, then I get a chance to talk and be seen and be heard. And it is coming from an innocent place, but they're not realizing that their actions have consequences. They're literally in the dark about their own actions having consequences. Because in their mind, the only thing they're holding on to is people are listening to me. People are hearing me. And it feels really sad, to be honest with you, because there's this energy surrounding them where it's like when they're not being heard by people, they feel invisible, right? And maybe you have had that as well in your life. It doesn't make the situation any less frustrating, but I feel like why Source is giving you this information is so that you can open up to compassion for this person and see them from a different place. Because maybe somewhere along the journey, you've been seeing them from this place of like, they're doing this to hurt me. They're very manipulative. They're very this, that, and the other. And they're just, all they want to do is see me fail. And that's not the case at all. We're going back into their pain of their past. And we see here that the reason they're so impulsive is because they just want to be seen. They want to be heard. They feel like if I'm validated by someone listening and hearing me, then I actually exist. Otherwise, they're invisible. And that feeling of invisibility does not feel very good at all. No matter who you are, when you feel invisible, it's just a really bad feeling. So we see this is something you yourself have outgrown here. This is something that you moved on from. And the love that you have for them is real, right? Like you absolutely love them. You'll always love them. You'll always have a soft spot in your heart for them. Why? Because whatever reason, whether they're your spouse or they're your child or they're your mother or they're your father or they're your best friend or whoever it is, like you'll always love them. You'll always love them. And that's okay. Right? And maybe using that love as fuel to hold compassion for them, but also knowing that it's okay for you to set boundaries with this person. Like it's okay for you to say like, hey, Sandra down the way came and talked to me about this that's going on in my life. And I told you that in confidence. I understand you already told Sandra and you maybe have already told other people, but I'm asking you for moving on. Please ask me if it's okay to share this information, because if I'm not giving you permission, then just know that it's not okay for you to talk about me and to other people about that. Like keep that between us, right? And setting those boundaries might help this person realize like, oh wow, I didn't realize that, but that gives them something to go based on. Now, I'm not saying they'll always honor that, because again, they're functioning from autopilot, but I do feel like this person loves and cares about you as well. Okay, like I do feel like they care about you, but I feel like there's been this dissonance between you and them for a long time, because there's this fear of, you know, this person is just spreading rumors about me, or they're telling everybody my business, and that part is so frustrating. But we see that you're about to overcome the negativity that's tied to this and open up to the love that's here. And it's going to feel new. Yeah. And you're going to not feel so stuck in the situation anymore. And it's going to feel new. And I feel like from there, you're going to have this place to be able to build with one another in a healthier way. Sometimes people don't recognize their actions until someone brings it up, right? Another person brings it up and makes them realize, like, hey, this is not okay, right? Yeah, we have house 2 coming out. Physical security, possessions, material values, and self-worth. So they've tied their self-worth to how people react when they tell them things. And whether it's about them or it's not about them, this is someone who's tied their self-worth to how people react when they tell them any kind of story. And so this person is always keeping like a counter in their head, like, oh, that made someone really react. So the next person I tell, I'm going to tell them that story because that really made them react and that really made me feel good. And I know a lot of you are like, that's controlling and that's manipulative. No, they don't. This is coming from an innocent, wounded place is what this is. This is literally someone this is their emotional ego has been running them for a long time. Okay. Look at that. We have Aquarius, originality, philanthropy, and progressive imaginings. We also have Chiron underneath there, hurt and heal. This is a thing. They're coming from their wounds. They're coming from their wounds here, okay? They're not healing. They don't know how to heal. They haven't healed, okay? So Chiron's a play here in this, and we see it's just different, right? Like, instead of seeing everybody that's hurting everyone else as manipulative, this is literally Source saying, like, can you step back and see that everyone that's hurting everyone has also been hurt too? But sometimes it's really, really difficult for us to do that because they've really hurt us really badly. And it's just easier to be like, no, they're an awful person. Like, they don't have anything that they had a right to hurt me like this. But it's not that they had a right to hurt you like that. We're just trying to put the shoe on the other foot here. Again, I'm not getting a malicious. That's what I was saying. Like, there's conflict, right? There's conflicting energy here. So there's conflict between you and this person. It's because this person is trying to be seen by you. And so I feel like they share their stories with you because they want to be seen by you. They want to be acknowledged by you, but you're tired of hearing the same old, okay? And there's this energy that's coming in where it's like, I don't want to listen to this anymore. And now I'm finding out that they're sharing my story with others too, and that's frustrating. And so this person is feeling neglected or abandoned by you, and that's just exacerbating them going and finding that validation from others, right? Even as a people pleaser, we're seeking validation from others. Radical self-acceptance, right? You're perceived the way you perceive yourself. Exactly. So they don't feel like they're actually worthy of being seen. So therefore, many times that they felt invisible, it's because they believe they're invisible. Unless they're sharing stories, right? Look, distorted perceptions. Reality is rarely what we're raised to believe it is. So not seeing this clearly, this is what's creating this conflicting energy here. It's because I want to hurt, like, I want to hurt them, but I want to hate them for what they're doing. I want to be mad at them for what they're doing. Maybe hate is too strong of a word. But sometimes it's not. Like, sometimes it's like, but I can't. Like, no matter how much I want to, like, I can't. I still love this person. I still want the best for them, right? And it's because the love is genuine, and they do love you back. Even if they can't vocalize it, even if they can't say it, like, they do love you back. But remember, they can only love you as much as they love themselves. So it's not that they don't love you, they do, but they can't give you very much because the love they have is minuscule. It's so tiny. Yeah, so celebration. What are the celebration delayed? Da-da-da. Who sings that song? Oh yeah, alright, it's time for dancing. One more time, we're gonna celebrate. Oh yeah, alright. I had this song stuck in my head when I woke up, like from a dead sleep, woke up with this song playing in my head as loud as could be. Like I was having my own little dream party, and I was like, what the heck? I think it's Daft Punk who sings that song. But yeah, there's something like, what I feel like you want to do is celebrate life with this person. Just have this time with this person. And with dance coming out here, it's like, the only way that this could ever potentially happen is to see this person with eyes of compassion. Are they going to be able to do the same for you? It depends. It depends on the choices that they make for themselves. But you seeing this person with eyes of compassion can help ease a lot of the discord that's been happening between the two of you. Right? And make things a lot more effortless. But I can appreciate how difficult that is. Like, they don't deserve to be talking about you. No one has a right to spread those stories or rumors or tales about you. I get that. But for them, it's not about spreading rumors as much as it is about being seen. So for them, the story means nothing. It's all about the time that they have the stage. This is someone who wants to be seen. We have 65 here with Trust the Great Mystery with the Whale Spirit. There's a lot that's unknown here. There's a lot that you haven't even seen. Like, especially, just say, like, this is a parent. You know, like, you might not even know the wounds of your parents, right? Because you've never thought to ask, or because they don't want to talk about it, or, you know, whatever. I'm not saying that you're inconsiderate. That's not what this is. It's just literally that maybe you haven't asked, right? Sometimes we don't think about asking until we think about asking, and then we're like, wow, why haven't I asked this before? But then if you ask and they're like, oh, I don't want to talk about that, right? Then you'll never know for sure. So we have the eel spirit coming, bring your ideas to life. To focus back on yourself. That's what this feels like. To bring balance into this situation is to focus back on yourself. 65 breaks into 11, which is a master number. Master number of, it's a very spiritual number, right? So this is about your spiritual journey more than anything. Dealing with this right now is about your spiritual journey. Okay? Yeah, empathy. I am open to seeing both sides of the situation. I can't make this up. This is very clear energy coming in here, right? Having empathy, having compassion for them, realizing they're not doing it as a malicious intent. Like, this is not somebody who's narcissistic. This is not somebody who's manipulative. I mean, in a way, yes, I guess you are when we're people please, but they're not knowingly manipulating, right? They're not like going out there like, oh, I'm going to manipulate this person. No, they're like fueled by the validation. And if you've been a people pleaser at any point in time in your life, you know exactly what that feels like. Being fueled by the validation. Caution. So it's okay to proceed with caution when it comes to this person. You do not have to share anything with them that you don't want to share or that you don't want shared. Maybe that's the boundary that you set, is like, hey, you know, I still want to hang out with you, I still want to see you, but I'm not going to be sharing personal information with you anymore. That's a part of the surrender. Okay, surrendering to what is. I can't change them, but I can change myself, right? If you can't change your circumstances, then change yourself. That's where true power comes from. All right, let's get one of these. What else would you like to tell pile number 3, source? Too late. I have that song stuck in my head. Oh yeah, alright, stop for dancing. One more time, we're gonna celebrate. Queen energy. We have radiates the regal feminine, uses her benevolent authority to protect others, and the shadow becomes arrogant when authority is challenged, controlling and demanding. Okay, so you have the Empress in the reverse here, right? Overprotective. So right now they're asking you to come into that empowered feminine, the divine feminine, the queen archetype, and reminding others that you are this benevolent authority, that you can protect others, but you can also protect yourself. You don't have to be cruel. You don't have to be mean, right? You can do so in a very kind, soft way. All right, so let's see what we got going on here. Assistance with access. It is necessary to ask for and accept help in order to receive it. Look, and they even have the golden key on this card. This is someone who does not know how to ask for help. Okay, like if this whole time you've been like, who is this person? Like, I don't really know anybody like that. But I do feel like this is going to give you that clear indication. And if you're still wondering, then this might not be the reading for you. But this is that energy where it's like, this is someone who they only will do it for themselves, and they'll go out of their way to do it by themselves, and they'll try to control the situation that way. And then when no one stands up to help them, because we're all apparently mind readers, right? They get frustrated and they throw a temper tantrum. And I feel like just reminding them, like, hey, if you don't ask for help, I can't help. I can't assume to know what you're thinking, right? But it's almost like they want people to intuit how they're feeling, but they don't do the same for others, right? They're expecting others to intuit how they're feeling and to show up. Or maybe it's just you because you guys have such a close relationship. The wake-up call. Yeah, this feels like a wake-up call from source. There's been a lot of emotional turmoil between you and this person and this situation. It's been really rough. And what source is saying is, like, this is your wake-up call, that maybe what it is that you've been feeling and thinking about the situation isn't quite accurate, right? That opening up to the fact that this person actually has been doing this because they feel like they're forgotten. Okay, and this is a part of their wounds coming through, and that's okay. Wow, excuse me. That's okay. Right? There's nothing wrong with if you thought this person was trying to manipulate you or hurt you, right? There is a lot of animosity here. There's a lot of resentment, anger that's coming out as well, but we also do see a deep love as well. Judgment. Yeah. I understand that everyone has their own unique paths and challenges. Like, this is very clear information that source is bringing in here. Maybe unknowingly you've judged this person and that's made you really upset. And then, you know, taking accountability for the own part that you've played in the situation. Not that you're a terrible person, but maybe you've fed this energy without realizing you fed it. And so asking these questions will help you shed light on this. You know, the other day I had to ask myself, I had a situation where someone had been lying to me for a long time. This is a family member, been lying to me for a long time, for my whole life basically, and it was really frustrating. And another situation where I caught them in a lie, and I was so mad. I was just like, oh my gosh, like, you expect me to be honest, but yet time and time again, I catch you in a lie. And that's something that really irks me, is when people lie. My whole life I've been like that, because my whole life I was told that I had to be honest, and I really leaned into that and sometimes was way too honest about too many things. And having to learn discretion was really hard for me, but so that I got triggered. I was obviously triggered. And my guides were coming in, and they asked me, they said, why are you so triggered? And so I told them why I was so triggered, and they said, okay, that's understandable. And they said, but what is it that's really triggering you? And I was like, because they're lying to me. And I just, like, lies. Then they asked me the question, and I was like floored. I didn't know if I wanted to answer it or not. And they said, have you ever lied? And I was stuck there for a moment, just pondering it. And I said, yes, I have. I've lied. And they asked me, so what is it that this situation is teaching you? And I said, I know it's teaching me to honor the parts of myself that lied, the parts of myself that lied to myself, the parts of myself that lied to other people. And then they asked me, they said, why did you lie? And I said, because I was always seeing everybody around me lie. And so eventually I got so sick and tired of being honest, because it seemed like everybody and their mom was lying, and everybody that lied got whatever it is that they wanted. And so for a time in my life, I was never a chronic liar, but there were things that I would lie about, right? The white lie, if you will, but a lie is still a lie, and people are like, well, omission of the truth is still a lie, and I guess it just depends. You just have to be discerning on what it is that you're giving to people. And so I ended up going through this whole conversation with my guides, and when your guides kind of give you the smack and they weren't mean about it or anything like that, but they're just very gentle and real about it. And all of a sudden I realized that the resentment I was holding was never actually towards the person who lied to me. It was towards the part of myself that had accepted this as a reality within my life and not seeing that it was okay for me to stand up against that. And so I had to journal about it, and I had this huge realization while I was journaling about it, and I went through this whole healing process. I cried about it, I got mad, and I went through my anger about it, and when it was done, I totally passed out and fell asleep because that was all that was left to do. So I feel like this is something that they want you to realize, is that we have to take accountability for ourselves, right? I mean, who wants to sit up here and be like, yeah, I've lied in my life, right? We're human. I feel like everybody's lied. Even the most honest of people have told a lie before. For whatever reason. And that's okay, right? That's okay. It's just us opening up to that part of ourselves and integrating that part of ourselves into our lives so we can say, you know what? That exists within me, but it doesn't have to be who I am. Teacher, no wonder they wanted me to tell you this. Okay, I get it. We've got the ability to communicate knowledge, experience, skill, or wisdom, and the shadow is manipulating or abusing students, teaching negative traits and destructive skills, right? So this could be something that you've tried to teach this person, but it's turned into something that might be for your own benefit, and they're saying not to do this for your own benefit, not to do this for your own self, but rather it's like, sometimes you just can't cast pearls before swine. It's just, that's the case. Like, someone's just not ready to hear it. No matter how much you tell them, they're just not ready to hear it. And I feel like that's exactly where this person's at. But just because that's where they're at doesn't mean that you can't hold compassion for them. Yeah, we have the bridge. Okay, so bridging the gap. We're going to read, I might not read all of these, but we'll see. We've got the bridge, and then we've also got the starborn. Okay, so this is pretty telling, right? You have someone here you could identify as a starseed, and that's perfectly okay, but you're otherworldly regardless, pile 3. You're very otherworldly. You see things very differently than most people that you know in your life, and we're trying to bridge the gap. Okay, we're trying, look, hands reaching out, let's come together, let's bridge this gap. Maybe I do see the world from over here and you see the world from over here. They're vastly different, but it doesn't mean that we can't find common ground. And that's what I feel like this energy is saying here. And that's why it felt very conflicting, because you have this starborn energy that's very bright and very enlightening and very fluid, but then you also have this stubborn energy over here that's unchanging and unyielding. So how do we bridge the gap? So they want me to check out bridge first, so we'll do that. The bridge with 38, which is also 11. So again, this very spiritual act that we're taking to try to bridge the gap between myself, someone I love who is on a vastly different level than I am. That does not mean that you stop loving them. It means that you find a way to bridge that gap. And this is not dimming your shine. That's not what this is. Okay, this is literally about finding a way to meet somewhere in the middle between the two of you. It says the connection, the link, the gate. Lie on the floor and listen to the bridge over troubled waters, right? Like a bridge over troubled waters, I will lay me down, right? I think Leanne Rimes sings a version of that, but there's tons of versions of that. Anyways, I sang that for choir when I was a kid. Notice the ease and acceptance within the melody. The feeling of rising above the muck, right? Imagine building a bridge, then imagine building a wall. Which energy is needed for the situation at hand? Which image softens and heals the heart? Bridges are built to connect two worlds. Wow. They create flow, allowing us to travel between realms, ideologies, personalities. This archetype is the gesture of acceptance, of saying yes, Rather than withdrawing, separating, and saying no. When we cross a bridge into an unknown land, we are led magically into a new reality. We open up to others. Healing and communication are made possible. We enter a state of curiosity, wonder, and learning. The shaman, for example, creates the bridge between everyday world and the sacred. This card asks us to study the connections between the seemingly disconnected parts of our lives, relationships, ideologies, histories. Remember that a bridge can't be forced. It must be made with love, or its structure will not withstand the inevitable weather of life. It says, when light, acceptance, magic, and communication. When dark, lacking boundaries, enforcing connection. To go deeper, check out Bifrost, the burning rainbow bridge of the Norse mythology. So I don't really know a whole lot about that. I do know some, but I don't know enough to really kind of share that, so... Then we have the Starborn, which is the divine child, the star child, and the destined. It says, when this card appears, don't be surprised if you receive a surge of desire for a long-lost dream, one you haven't visited since childhood. Let this desire shake you up. It says, have your chart read, study your constellated shape, ask questions. What does the process conjure in you? Faith or mistrust? What would happen if you saw the galaxy as your ally? An elusive yet radiant aspect of the self. The Starborn archetype points to the cosmic spark of light that arrives with each being at birth. The moment the newborn crowns, whether vaginally or surgically, the royal stars above are said to constellate in a unique shape that maps our path in the world. The idea of destiny is controversial, yet the Starborn naturally feels a sense of destination and purpose, aiming itself toward a future that is beyond the mundane. When this card appears, travel back to your birth story for clues and insight. Oh my gosh, wasn't I saying that? Like, you don't know this person's past? What? That's such a unique synchronicity there. What did you desire when you were young? Practice seeing your life from a mythical point of view rather than as a series of logistics. Read the story of the three fates and envision yourself born under the stars with a unique destiny. When light, you're a light, trusting, vibrant, and aimed. When dark, feelings of misalignment and loss of longing. To go deeper, check out Tripping Over Joy by Hafez and Shakespeare's Star-Crossed Lovers. Yeah, so this is bridging the gap between not knowing somebody's background and also seeing how that relates to your own background. So maybe the compromise, if you will, here, right, is realizing that you don't grow up so separate from one another. You both have very similar upbringings, and that's something that you can relate to each other on. But overall, this really is about you bridging this gap between being this higher vibrational being to someone who's more attached to the mundane realm. And sometimes that can be hard, but it is not impossible. And if you trust your intuition throughout this process and listen to your guidance, you'll be given the key points that will help get you to that, okay? So being open right now to receiving that energy and that information will get you much further than being closed off because it's so frustrating where this person's at, okay? It's just one step, one foot in front of the other. Wow, this is a really intense reading. So this is what I see here for you. If you felt like this was your reading, leave the little egg emoji and the rainbow emoji next to one another down below and say, as a high vibrational being, I choose to bridge the gap between myself and those who are of the mundane. Knowing that it is through love, we heal the gap and we begin to all vibrate into higher realms of being. And if it resonated, it would mean so much to me if you're to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you're interested in supporting the channel further, check out the description box. It will have everything you need, including how to reach me for a personal reading, as well as how to join as a member here on the channel. With that, I would like to take a quick second to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, your angel source, and my spirit guides for coming together to give us this incredibly intense, deep reading. And until next time, pile number 3, stay human. Bye.